Having a lot of complaints from the neighbors where now instead of doing one single dwelling house within a plot, you get somebody is doing 4 or 5 like what is happening behind us here.
Odhiambo warned that those violating the county building regulations will have their structures pulled down at the owner's cost. He said the developers live in other areas, some abroad and others in Nairobi, and declared that the structures will be marked for demolition.
Alia huyu hanaishi ngambo na mbejenga hii nyumba ameweka hapa. Ukiangalia hii ilikuwa shule, sasa imebadilishwa, imekuwa single rooms and 1 bedrooms.
The residents are questioning the approval of several buildings by the county government.
Kwa wale ambayo wanafanya hivyo waone, sababu nyumba kwa Wasukari saa hii tuko na nyumba karibu 12 ambayo tumepanga na tutastop mijengo isiendelee.
Area Assistant Chief Boniface Mchuku said the mushrooming of the high-rise residential buildings is a threat to security.
As a result of building these houses, we are going to bring other new members who are going to be tenants. There will be a lot of strain in our resources like water. There will be issues of parking, and simply because these areas was meant for single dwelling, it will be chaotic.
Ruiru Sub-County Administrator Francis Isoke says there are illegal buildings put up by rogue developers in all 5 wards, and the county government will issue demolition notices to those who don't comply.
We are going to issue stoppage notices, and to that effect, if they don't comply, we can pursue demolition order for the buildings to be brought down for non-compliance. There is total mushrooming of rogue developers, so it is a problem which is bedeviling the entire Ruiru sub-county. There is no single ward with no such problem. It is so rampant within Ruiru sub-county.
Sheila Kayaro-Yogo reporting for Lunchtime News.
The government plans to commence construction of 13 billion shillings in Darugo 2 Dam in Gatundu North has stalled after a meeting organized by Athi Water Services and the National Lands Commission (NLC) to convince persons affected by the project ended in disarray. The irate residents accused the government of implementing the project without involving them.
Government officials had organized the meeting at Gathati's Chief's ground in Gatundu to lessen hostility among locals over the Ndaragu 2 Dam project and convince them on how it will benefit them and Kenyans at large. But when they arrived at the venue, the government officials led by Gatundu North Deputy County Commissioner Julius Kavita struggled in vain to calm the angry locals. In their speeches, the residents accused the government of violating their rights by implementing the project without being involved.
Hiyo notice haijasainiwa na mtu. Hii ni maneno imefanywa kukanganya wananchi. Bwana Mungu. Hii mpango ya damu imepangwa, feasibility study imefanywa, na hii damu inafaa kujengwa fika pale Kombo. Kwa hiyo
they voted to reject the project, arguing that there was another Karimenu 2 Dam water project to be constructed some 3 kilometers from the venue.
Kutoka hapa demu hii nataka kujengwa. Ile matatizo na wale watu wameadhirika sana. Sasa wameanza kujitupa kwa hiyo demu. Manake walikula hiyo pesa.
They are now calling upon the county and national governments to spearhead projects that will bring economic gains in the area.
Tuliona shida iko na watu wa Karimenu. Siku ya leo tunaambia watu sisi tutaki demu ingine hapa kwetu. Na tumekataa. Tuliona mashida ile iko na watu hiyo wetu wadugu wetu hapa Karimenu. Tunakataa tumekataa hiyo damu katika jina la Yesu. Tunataka kukaa hapa tulime hiyo 7. Si kubwa na kitu tunaona kitu hapa mazao kusomesha watoto hata wajukuu wanakaa huku nyumbani na wasomesa.
Steven Wanyonyi, Lunchtime News.
Elsewhere, Chemelil Sugar Factory is set to resume normal operations after farmers agreed to supply cane as they await the court's verdict on the management impasse at the factory to be delivered on 6th of March 2023. Cane suppliers have been on a go-slow for the last 2 weeks, demanding the reinstatement of former acting managing director Gabriel Nyangweso.
There is finally somewhat smoke on the Chemelil Sugar Factory management impasse that had crippled its operations for the past fortnight. Farmers had stopped supplying the state-owned factory with cane to express their opposition to a court injunction that discontinued the services of the former acting managing director Gabriel Nyangweso. However, on Wednesday, the cane suppliers and the management held a stakeholders meeting to strike an agreement.
Tumekubaliana kuwa malipo ya wakulima, malipo ya transporters na any other mfanyikazi ya Chemelil tulipwe kama tulikuwa tumekubaliana na earlier management. In 2 weeks wakulima wapate proceeds yao.
The structures that were laid down by Mr. Nyangweso concerning payments should continue without alterations. And the structures were that he'll pay weekly and give farmers, number 1, priority, then number 2, transporters, then number 3, workers.
The farmers agreed to resume cane supply as they await a court verdict to be delivered on 6th March 2023.
Currently, we have been doing 2,400 tons of cane in a day. But of course, that reduced to as low as around 700 tons of cane in a day. That meant that we have been stopping for a number of days so that we can accumulate cane. A case has not been happening. So we are hoping after this day today that we'll be getting the cane in good supply and in good quantity so that now we can continue milling in a better way.
Wakulima tunapigania kazi mingi ambayo inatakana, lakini percentage ile inatolewa 1% ambayo inaenda kwa cess. Hiyo pesa zinaenda na haifanye kazi ile which was intended for. Pesa hizo haifiki kwa kazi ambayo ilikuwa inatakana ya infrastructure ya barabara. Sasa tunataka hiyo sheria iwekwe kwa sababu siku ile wakulima wenyewe walikuwa wanasimamia kazi ilikuwa inaendelea vizuri.
Meanwhile, the factory's management has appealed to the government to help it settle the 60% payment arrears owed to various stakeholders for the year 2021. For Lunchtime News, I am Wycliffe Okage.
At about 2:15, we are taking a quick break, but there's more news on the other side of this break.
The National Youth Service will hold its pass-out graduation ceremony on 3rd March 2023. His Excellency the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, will be the guest of honor during the pass-out parade to be held at NYS Paramilitary Academy in Gilgil, Nakuru County. Follow the proceedings live on KBC Channel 1 on Friday, 3rd March 2023 from 10 a.m. NYS, huduma kwa taifa.
Welcome back. In other news, conservation tourism is fast becoming a new trend in global tourism industry as more countries embrace sustainable practices. Great Plains Conservation, which operates in Kenya, Botswana and Zimbabwe, says players in the industry need to reinvest back into local communities to enhance ecotourism. The company, through Great Plains Foundation, has rolled out a plan to feed more than 8,000 pupils in 29 primary schools in Kajiado County.
Kenya is leading the way in sustainable tourism through various policy measures. So far, the government has banned plastic bags and other single-use plastics in the country's parks, forests and lodges. The country has also developed a national tourism strategy that seeks to streamline ecotourism. This has gone a long way in entrenching sustainable practices in the country's tourism industry. The Great Plains Conservation, which operates in the counties of Kajiado and Narok, says community involvement is critical in driving sustainable practices in Kenya's fledgling tourism industry. The company has embraced a zero-waste policy, recycling papers and cardboard to make briquettes to fuel it or to water systems instead of cutting down trees for fuel. Great Plans, through its foundation, has rolled out a plan to feed more than 80,000 pupils in 29 primary schools in Kajiado County.
From last year, the number of children going to school has been decreasing. But since the intervention of Great Plains and other partners from last year, there has been a retention of school children in all the schools in Brikani Group. For last year, over 8,000 pupils were retained in school in all the schools, the 22 schools that are in Brikani Group Ranch.
Now the rain which came over December, it was very short. It never made even the vegetation grow for the animals. So all schools around here, this region, they have got a problem with the food. So retention of learners in school has become very difficult.
Kinyaku Olikone, Great Plains Community Liaison Officer, says the school feed program is aimed at supporting local communities by ensuring a well-balanced diet for learners in the drought-stricken counties of Kajiado and Narok.
The mission of the foundation is to make the best practice of world-class conservation with the long-term commitment of environment, wildlife, and local communities surrounding our catchment areas.
Andrew Kero for Lunchtime News.
Moving on, trade between Tanzania and Switzerland has received a major boost with the launch of the Switzerland-Tanzania Chamber of Commerce. The trade body will seek to deepen two ways of trade relations that are heavily skewed towards the European nation. SLM is wooing Europe to boost its export to the economic bloc. This and more stories in our International Business News Roundup.
Investment, Trade and Industry Deputy Minister of Tanzania Exud Kigahe urged the business communities of Tanzania and Switzerland to use the just launched Chamber of Commerce as a bridge to facilitate a win-win business between the two countries. This, he added, will even attract more businesses and make them easier to access the Tanzanian Swiss markets and continue strengthening economic cooperation. Tanzania's export to Switzerland stood at about 26.4 billion Tanzanian shillings, while imports were quoted at 96 billion Tanzanian shillings. He welcomed Swiss companies to invest in the sectors of manufacturing, tourism, agriculture, fisheries, livestock, mineral, processing, pharmaceuticals, and the blue economy. Switzerland's State Secretary for Economic Affairs, Helena Atieda, said the Chamber of Commerce could serve as a platform for businesses from Switzerland and Tanzania to explore new opportunities for growth and development. Elsewhere, the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, COMESA, has ruled that consumers have a right to sue Jumia in disputed transaction where information on sellers cannot be established. The Commission, in the course of the investigation, reviewed Jumia's platform in different countries along with its terms and conditions to determine if they were in compliance with the COMESA's competition regulation. It was also observed that Jumia had dissociated itself from transactions, yet in an actual sense, the consumer deals only with Jumia to make payments and make deliveries on behalf of the seller. It was further noted that in some cases, Jumia does not provide to consumer any documents that connect the transaction to the third party as the seller. Finally, fuel prices in Egypt witnessed an increase ranging from 75 piastres to 1 per litre LE in local markets. As per a decision issued by the Fuel Automatic Pricing Committee, the price of diesel fuel has not changed and remains at 7.25 LE. The price of a ton of diesel for industry reached 6,000 tons per LE. However, the prices of diesel supplied to the food and electricity industries remained unchanged. Globally, crude oil prices skyrocketed due to the ongoing Russia-Ukraine crisis, and as a result, the prices of fuel and petroleum products have been affected in all countries of the world.
We do begin sports with the latest in women's football, where FKF Women's Cup round of 32 matches are apps that will take center stage on March 18th and 19th have been revealed after a public draw conducted live on FKF social media platforms. Ulinzi Starlets, the inaugural winners of the cup, will play FKF Women Division 1 Zone B side Gusii Starlets. Defending FKF Women Premier League champions Thika Queens will face Migori Educational Center, while Vihiga Queens will travel to Ahero, Kisumu County, to face Kolwa Falcons. The round of 16 is set for April. The quarterfinals May 20th, while the semi-finals are slated for June the 24th. Winners of the Women's FKF Cup will be crowned on July.
The National Youth Service will hold its pass-out graduation ceremony on 3rd March 2023. His Excellency the President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, will be the guest of honor during the pass-out parade to be held at NYS Paramilitary Academy in Gilgil, Nakuru County. Follow the proceedings live on KBC Channel 1 on Friday, 3rd March 2023 from 10 a.m. NYS, huduma kwa taifa.
That's what people watch, short videos, and I'm worried about it, because now what is going to happen to books, what's going to happen to people who create content, what's going to happen to actors.
Break down your book into 30 seconds and dance to it.
Nikatoka India, Kenya, nikarudi, then we got married.
You realize there are no greener pastures.
They are only
nilienda
grey.
Kufanya kazi
They only grey.
Nilienda kufanya kazi
sawa, kwa hivyo
Nilikuwa nimesema kumbe ni yule wale wajinga wako.
But he was utaenda coast upigwe mawe. Smita
tutampeleka Costa
apigwe mawe.
But I get your point. No, Smita, hold on. Let's finish that.
Kuna hizi kampuni zenye zinajua mali niko, kitu nimekula breko, kitu ninasema sahi, kitu nitakula next week on Thursday, pesa niko nazo kwa account, siblings wangu, the list is endless. Na mnajuaje hii information? Kwani mnani stock?
Lakini nikuulize, kabla ya kupress allow, ulijiuliza hii information inatumiwa kwa njia gani? Kabla ya kuallow, hakikisha umesoma terms and conditions.
Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na ofisi ya Data Protection Commissioner.
On this second day of March